So my name is Novak, and I am a promotions and special events coordinator.
Okay, so let's just talk about your journey, kind of how you got to this position, and just your education and other professional opportunities you've had.
Yeah, so I graduated with my undergrad with sport and entertainment business, and from Concordia University in Ann Arbor, a really small school. And while it was my fifth year there, my buddy just got a job on the grounds crew, and he texted me. He was like, "Hey, you want a job on the grounds crew with the Tigers?" I'm like, "Of course!" Like that's like the ultimate college dream job, you know. And so from there, worked a year on the grounds crew, loved it, just part time. Excuse me. And then from there, just networking. I knew I wanted to work in sports. I knew I wanted to kind of go into marketing or promotions. That really always interested me. And so from there, just talked with my boss, Haley, who's the director of promotions and special events, and just got networked with her during my time on the grounds crew. And then at the end of the year, there was openings for internships with the promotions department. So I applied and got the job through that. And then did my internship all of 2017 season, and then 2018 season there was an opening and applied for it for full time, and got it. So that was I started the week of opening day of 2018.
So just talk about your daily responsibilities or duties or kind of roles you partake in within the company here.
So I oversee our pause program, and anything from booking the appearance to managing the performer schedules. I also oversee our national anthem program, booking and scheduling the performers for the anthem. Oversee our scoreboard messaging program, which is a promotion in game that people put in a message and shown on the board during the game. And let's see what else. There's
we want it all. We want everything.
Yeah. Special events, plan those. So anything from our big branding events like Pink Out the Park, or Fiesta Tigres, to the smaller ticket package events, which are like the Bark at the Park, or like a Polish American or a Heritage American night. So planning all of those.
Nice. So that's pretty diverse. You do a lot of different things. So and those scoreboard messaging, is that like when people say like, "Will you marry me?"
Yeah, we get a lot of proposals and a lot of happy birthdays.
For the Tigers and then in season, what's the difference between those seasons for you and your position?
Definitely the hours. That's the biggest difference. In season, we come in, if it's a night game, we get in at 10 a.m. Because we still have all of our office responsibilities. For me, it's maybe calling somebody for a pause appearance, or making sure the anthem is booked for the next homestand, making sure that they have their credentials, parking and ticketing, make sure that all that's complete for either next homestand or the following homestand after that, so that way we're not falling behind. And then right around I'd say probably 2 or 3, we start getting into game mode, which making sure everything's set. If it's a special event night, making sure that our team has their assignments on who to meet, where to meet them, where to take them, all that. But if it's not a special event, just making sure that the anthem gets in and somebody's there to meet them and bring them down to the field. Our first pitch people are there, and then obviously executing those pregame ceremonies and in-game promotions. And so for our in-game promotions, we actually pick the contestants that participate and so selecting those fans based off of if they're a Tigers fan, like if they'll know the question, if it's a trivia question, selecting an older, if it's for older people, making sure that we're not selecting a younger person that wouldn't know anything about 1968 World Series, something like that. And so we usually stay throughout the end of the game. So it's a grind, especially in season. That's a typical night game, so 10 to probably about 11 p.m. Off season, it's still pretty crazy, but a lot more relaxed. It's a lot more 9 to 5. I was just telling you, the first of the off season is kind of like a break, but after that we start getting ready. So our department puts on Tiger Fest, which is our big thing, where It was actually last weekend where all the players come back for it, and it's open up to the public. And I think this year we had around 35 to 4,000 people. So it was quite a bit of people. We had interactives on the concourse. Players were autographing all over the ballpark, and our department puts that solely on. So that kind of takes up a majority of our off season. And now, after Tiger Fest is done, got a little bit of a break, but now we're starting to plan for the season, picking out which dates for special events are going to happen, and making sure that we start planning ahead, so that way when we're working 10 to 11 for a night game, things could slip through the cracks if you're behind on things. So making sure that we get everything out and planned ahead of time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely a challenging atmosphere, but very rewarding, obviously, with all the people there.
Yeah, there's nothing more rewarding than seeing like a little kid go up on the scoreboard and get the question right, and the crowd goes wild, and he's just like so excited. There's nothing better than that.
Like, I guess people don't like to talk about what is the grind really like, and what obstacles you face.
One of the biggest challenges is when you're putting on a special event, there's so many moving factors that you're never going to have everything go right. There's always going to be something, like for instance, someone may show up late, the anthem may be stuck in traffic, and so what do you do then? Because you have to have the national anthem before the game, so maybe a first pitch doesn't show up or something like that, so there's always something. And so just always having a backup plan. So for the anthem performers, if they're late or if they don't show up, which thankfully we've come close. We never had somebody miss it, but we have a backup plan. We have somebody that's in the office that is a pretty good singer. That is, we got lucky there. But or having somebody always on call is something that we've talked about, and we've tried to implement that last season, where we have one local person who is pretty available and able to make it on a minute's notice. So just having a backup plan for that, and always thinking ahead. Another big challenge would be one thing for our department is we touch kind of all departments. So working with our scoreboard department to make sure the first pitch and the anthem performers' names are correct, and working on timing when those are going to happen. Working with our ticket sales department, because if they have a first pitch that they sold to somebody, then making sure that they're there at this time and at this location. Working with our community affairs department to plan pregame ceremonies. So we really touch all departments, and not all departments can really say that. So that's definitely a challenge, but it's kind of exciting too, because you get to see all these aspects and work with all these different departments on different things. But it's definitely the communication to all the departments. You just have to really make sure. And like I said, going back to those grinds where you're working 10 to 11, and getting ready for a game, and sometimes things can slip through the cracks, and so making sure that you over communicate, because people will learn this in this industry, and I think it's important for all industries too. There's no such thing as over communicating, so but that's definitely one of the biggest challenges too.
I'm a firm believer in that, over communication.
Yeah, you can never have too much.
And then what does your team look like? Who do you directly communicate with? Who do you work side by side with? Who reports to you? Who do you report to?
So I'll start from the top. So our vice president is the vice president of marketing, so underneath her is the director of promotions, which is my direct boss, which is Haley Kolf, and so I report directly to her, and then underneath her is us three coordinators. So there's three coordinators, myself, and then two other coordinators, and then we have 3 different interns, and so the interns report directly to us.
5, maybe 10 years from now, do you see yourself still in the same role? Do you see yourself advancing? How does that look for you? Do you have a plan, or is it just kind of like
definitely. I mean, I grew up as a Tigers fan. I'm from Sterling Heights, so I want to stick with this organization. That's always been a goal of mine. So in the next 5 years, I hope to be a manager of promotions and special events. And the end goal would be, to be the vice president of promotions and special events. There's not a position right now for that. That's kind of vice president of marketing. But, so either vice president of marketing or vice president of promotions and special events.
And then what's your plan to do that? Do you have what is your thought process on how you can make that a reality?
So right now I'm actually going back to school. I'm getting my master's in leadership. So I'm taking online classes from Concordia University, Wisconsin. And so I think that will give me, the qualities as a leader to be able to advance in those roles. And honestly, it all comes with experience too. And so, like I said, sticking with this organization because it's important, to understand how an organization works, because not every organization works the same. So I think it's important to stick with one organization if you like the organization, which obviously I do. But so I think that really helps as well.
You know how it's going to play out. Some things are going to change, here or there. But what would you tell yourself stepping into this role?
Kind of what I said before, over communicate. Like I said, there's no harm in over communicating. Even if somebody needs to know, the name, give them their first, middle, and last name. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt to have that information. And that's one thing that, and coming from somebody who doesn't have any office experience before, that's something that I didn't realize needed to happen until I got here and moving on in this role. I think I struggled with that in my internship, and then I kind of realized, towards the end of my internship, like, hey, like this is a huge deal. Like that's the biggest thing that I would say makes this organization successful, is making sure all departments are on the same page.
Right.
So that's one of the biggest things that I would tell myself.
And then just looking at, yourself and where you've come from, where you're trying to go, what is the most important skill or skills to have working in this position, working in just this organization? What do you think is the most beneficial skill to have to be successful here?
Again, over communication, but also I think it's really important to be able to adapt to things. Like I mentioned before, special events, they never go as planned. So having a backup plan, being able to say, let's say, like I said, the first pitch doesn't show up, and then switching, the order of the first pitches, and then having to relay that communication to our scoreboard department so that way they don't announce, the person who doesn't show up, and that would just be extremely awkward.
Right.
So yeah, I think that is, just being able to adapt to things. Like I said, nothing goes as planned. So just always having a backup plan and always thinking ahead too.
Beautiful. And just, if I was a student, you're like a teacher in a class, and it's like how to be successful, I guess, like sports administration, sports management. What advice would you give me and Alex over there, just to how to progress yourself? How do you become attractable to upper executive to be promoted? Like what advice would you give to someone stepping into this position or business?
Yeah. So first thing, just even getting into business, take a job. Don't be afraid of getting your foot in the door. Like I said, I started on the grounds crew. That job was a great way for me to get into this organization. Necessarily, I loved it, but I didn't obviously want to stay with the grounds crew. So don't be afraid to become an usher or security, or it might even be picking up trash. Don't be afraid to do that stuff, because if you get in front of the right people and you work hard, people notice that. The other thing is the work ethic. Don't think that something's beneath you. I still do jobs where I'm walking around picking up trash. After an event or something. And some people might think, oh, I don't need to do that. Like I'll have my interns go do that. People notice that thing too. And when you're delegating tasks, you just want to make sure that you're still putting your best effort in, and working hard, and the right people. Once you get in front of the right people, you work hard, and it has to be. It can't be forced. You can't fake working hard.
Right.
You know, because people notice that. You know, maybe you don't want to like just be sitting down and then your vice president walks by and then you jump up and make it look like you're doing it because they know.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing would be just don't be afraid to get multiple internships. It gives you more experience and it makes you more tractable.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, I got lucky where I didn't need those multiple internships, but right now we're hiring a new full-time coordinator, and there was 585 applications for that.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if you have multiple internships, you're going to stand out from everybody else. I think that an internship kind of gets a negative, where people think that after they're done with an internship that they should just get a full-time job. They only need one. Get as much experience as you can. It's only going to help you in the long run. It may not be the best option right now, but it also beats going and working a 9-to-5 job. Cold calling people.
Right.
You're still working in sports. You just may not be making as much money as you want to right then,
Right.
but it's a long game.